Two majors in the same month. Cutting corners made it worse. Fucking around with fuck. The trap lead, Cooper flag made the white jump. When the plug got knocked, I started giving fronts.
Brandon Tatum, sir. Every time I turn on the camera now, it just looked like you making a fool out of yourself. To the people who are just now coming over here, I appreciate you. I want you to understand something. I am still fairly new to him, but I have been doing my due diligence to understand, at least from his and everybody else's standpoint, why people feel the way they feel about him. Is he a coon? Is he this? Is he that? Is he a good guy? And in the last video that I did, the brother, he just made himself look stupid. And this is another clip with him and Elliot Connie speaking. I thought it was bad the last time.
Example, it got to be quick because I know we run a long time. Where would you derive that I've adopted the perspective of the colonizer? And can you explain real quickly who that person is or who that group of people are in America today?
I'll give you a very specific example. You said that you don't believe slavery stole money from the Black community.
I did. That's not what I said. I said you cannot evaluate if slavery stole money. No, because if racism stole money, because money wasn't even on the table. It's not like slaves could even make money. So you can't say they stole something they never had a chance.
Hold up, bro. Oh, I'm gonna rewind that shit. But nigga, he said, look, all right. Think, oh, I'm lying. I'm putting words in her mouth. Oh, I got the files. I will play them. He said, no. You said that shit quick. No. Oh, let me go back.
Evaluate if slavery stole money. No, because if racism stole money, because money wasn't even on the table. It's not like slaves could even make money. So you can't say they stole something they never had a chance to make. That's what I was referring to. It's not like Black people had money and then it was stolen from them when they were introduced into slavery, and then it could potentially have been given back to them.
Hold on. So what? Elliot, I got a question. Is this a real interview? Are y'all trolling? Is he playing? Like, is this a joke? Sir, what the fuck you think they was doing? They was just working out there just to be working. You don't really think that they wanted to be compensated for their time? That they just volunteered to be out there in that hot ass weather, getting bit the hell up, bruised, battered, feet worn, torn, getting raped and all? You think they did all that shit for free? Or they wanted to do that shit for free? Yo.
They never had the earning potential as being slaves. So nothing was stolen from them. Now, opportunities were not provided for them after slavery in an adequate way, but you can't say something was stolen that was never available to them.
So to be clear, you're saying Black people never had anything, so thus it couldn't be stolen. Is that correct?
In slavery, the ones who were slaves, who was purchased as a slave, had nothing to gain or had nothing to, they had no possessions to hold on to because they were slaves. They weren't even considered persons, humans. They were property, like animals. They had no money to obtain or to give up or to relinquish. They had no choice in it. So that you can't compare that.
So again, I just want to be very clear on what I'm hearing. You're saying that slaves had no property, so thus it couldn't have been stolen.
Yes.
Okay, that is factually inaccurate. We know that from slave documents that they did have money. They were allowed at times to earn money.
Let's hold on. And those let's talk about it because I want to be very clear about this. I studied this in college. Now you're talking about, I'm perceiving the slaves that are on the plantation that were not able to work They not like Harriet Tubman, who was married and she worked and she was married and her husband was a free black man. I'm not talking about Harriet Tubman. I'm talking about other slaves who were in slavery, who had no possessions of property. They were not allowed to work. They didn't work in the house. They weren't able to purchase their freedom. None of that. I'm talking about those people.
Nigga, what are you talking, bro? I didn't go to college, nigga, and I was taught all about slavery in elementary 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th grade. What are you saying? Oh my goodness. So you telling me, all right, are you insinuating that there was a special type of slave separate from a regular slave, and the regular slave just was just there, and the special slave was what? The Uncle Toms, the snitches, the ones that was giving up box and cheeks for their extra privileges? Is that what you're trying to insinuate? I thought slave was a slave and just that. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh.
I'm not talking about people who were house slaves, people who were servants in slavery, people like Harriet Tubman towards the end of her life, where she actually lived with her husband, who was a free black man and able to work. Some of her family members were free. And so I'm not talking about those particular slaves. So when you look at those.
My grandparents were slaves. They worked out there in the cotton field too. They weren't house inwards. They wasn't with the man. They was. Oh, I'm sorry.
House slaves, people who were servants in slavery, people like Harriet Tubman towards the end of her life, where she actually lived with her husband, who was a free black man and able to work. Some of her family members were free. And so I'm not talking about those particular slaves. So when you look at those particular slaves, some of which who were blacks who owned slaves, like I'm not considering those people. I'm considering the people who had no opportunity to work. Therefore, they had nothing to build or take away from.
So that I can be abundantly clear, I believe you're just demonstrating internalized racism. Because when I said, I'm going to tell you, I asked you twice, can you be very clear? Are you saying this? And twice you said yes. And then when I gave you contrary information, you widened it. I'm not considering.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. Because I noticed it too. It was at the very moment that his entire argument was slaves. He didn't say it was a specific type of slave or none of that. He just said slave, just slave. And then as soon as Elliot spun the block and asked you, and then he went into breaking down what he was trying to articulate, you interjected and you tried to make it more than what it actually was, because you knew damn well that you was about to trip up in your own foolishness. I hear you. I see you. Let's continue.
I widened it because I believe that the conversation needs to be deeper than the surface level. Did they gain money or not? Because there's different phaseology, there's different phases, there's different people that were in different phases of slavery. Slavery was not all one thing. There were people who were slaves who worked. There were people who were slaves who were given the opportunity to purchase their freedom. There were people who were black, who were once slaves, who then were free and then owned slaves. We can have a broader discussion about slavery. I'm saying the ones who did not have an opportunity whatsoever, that didn't even have a chance at having any possessions, could not have possessions taken away from them. If you want to go through black people in general, we have to then talk about black people who own slaves. We have to then talk about the first legal slave owner in American history, which was Anthony Johnson. We have to talk about all the black people who purchased their freedom and who also purchased other people's freedom in slavery. Those who never was a slave in the field. Those who always, in slavery had a different.
I hear what he's saying, but bro, you trying to you reaching, bro. You reaching. You know damn well what we talking about. We talking about slavery to white men, white women. We're talking about that. We're not talking about all this other stuff that you trying to go around the world for, man. Come on, bro.
Perception or a different position in slavery. So it's a dynamic discussion. Our premise was people who had absolutely no opportunity whatsoever should not be evaluated as the same as those who had an opportunity. So the conversation was post-slavery, focusing on after slavery was abolished. Where do we go from here?
Respectfully, I don't see a point in talking about the details because you keep moving it instead of.
I'm not moving it. You want to broaden up the conversation. You asked me a very basic perspective.
Clearly, what did you say? You said yes twice, and then I said, "But what about this?" And then you moved it.
And then I realized you want to broaden. The conversation, okay. So I broadened the conversation. Fair. Example, it got to be quick because I know we run a long time.
You know, man. No, you did that. This was a 5-minute plus video. He barely even spoke because you kept on hearing something that was making you look a certain type of way. So you kept on trying to add fluffer in there to throw him off your scent. I understand, folks. I understand what y'all was talking about. I'm sorry. I was wrong. He's definitely one of them people. He's definitely one of them. For those of you who think, oh, you're just using this name for clicks and views, shut up. You didn't have to watch. The whole purpose of me doing this is so that I can get a better understanding of who we're actually dealing with. Because frankly, y'all the ones that's putting money in his pocket every time you watch him. But me listening to the stuff that he be saying out his mouth, yeah, if I could finesse your dumb ass too, I would definitely do it. But I'm not evil like that. I don't know. Y'all tell me, am I tripping?